It's been 12 days. 12 days since our last morsel of information about Battlefield 2042. But yesterday and today we actually got some new snippets of information that I wanted to share with you guys, and there's some really interesting stuff here. So we're going to be looking at some new gameplay features, a little bit more depth about exactly what Hazard Zone is and how it could relate to Battle Royale, new partnerships that Battlefield have just announced that could lead to some really cool things, and a potential test range. So there's a bit to get stuck into here, so without further ado, let's jump in. So the first thing is the movement in Battlefield 2042, and there were some comments made by a guy called Littlebit, who is a core software engineer at DICE, and they were responding on Reddit to a post about how the movement in the game would be. A user called God Bless made an interesting post here. Going back to BF4 has made me realise how good the movement system in BF5 is. It's not perfect, but I hope they don't go back to that 2013 movement style. And the DICE developer replied, "We're definitely building on the work that we did for BF5, keeping the feedback on those mechanics in mind while we added and improved the feature set." So obviously BF4's got a bit of a resurgence at the moment. Myself, my friends, we've gone back and played it. A load of you guys have too. It's on a bit of a boom right now, and when you go back and play it, yeah, it's still an absolutely phenomenal Battlefield game. So much fun, leans into that sandbox gameplay. Great team play, it's just a good laugh really. But you do notice, to be fair, some of the fallbacks with the movement. By today's standards, of course BF4 was made in 2013, sometimes you're left wanting to do things that that game just doesn't allow you to do. For example, sliding into cover, jumping over larger barriers, hoisting yourself up over walls, and even grabbing onto ledges while you're falling. Now all those features you can do in Battlefield 5, and I think that's what Littlebit is alluding to here, and we can look forward to having those kind of things in BF 2042. Myself personally, I think that's great. I quite like the movement mechanics in BF5 and the freedom that it gives to the player, and it's definitely one of the most popular aspects of BF5. They responded to another comment here from TDK. "I honestly think the getting stuck thing is almost more of a map design flaw than a movement system issue." They replied, "It's both. The engineers need to accept that levels aren't 100% smooth, and the level designers / artists need to remember that the code can't cover for all rough edges. It's a balancing act between visual fidelity and smooth traversal. I think we're in a good spot with BF5, so we just need to be cautious about potential problematic areas." So they're referencing how important it is to focus on gameplay first rather than art or the way things look, because sometimes in previous Battlefield games, especially BF3 and 4, you just get stuck on tiny little rocks and everything like that. Yeah, it did get annoying. You had a bit of that in BF1, but I think in BF5, generally speaking, they'd eradicated most of that, so hopefully they carried that on to the next game and you've got smooth traversal across the whole of the map. And then the final thing about the movement in BF 2042 was here. Routine Smile says, "As long as there isn't slide spam and jump spam, it'll be awesome." And Littlebit replied, "Two topics that we're very aware of." Me personally, I quite like having a slide in Battlefield games. It allows you to slide into cover when you need the extra boost of speed. But what I didn't like about BF1 and BF5 was how much you could spam that ability. So I'd like to see a bit more of a cooldown on the sliding in BF 2042. As a Battlefield fan, I personally don't want to see the sliding that you get in Warzone, for example, with no cooldown really, especially when you put slide cancelling into the equation. I'd much rather see a slide and then a break before you can do it again. I think that just suits the Battlefield franchise a bit more, but they say they're aware of that and jump spam, so hopefully we don't see that in the next game. Next up, Hazard Zone, and this was from an interview with a magazine called Play Magazine. They had a DICE dev in there and they were talking about Hazard Zone, and in the pre-brief in the community stream, DICE always said, look, Hazard Zone is not a battle royale, and they said that this game will not have a battle royale either. But in this interview, they said that Hazard Zone will move the Battle Royale concept on in a way that only its flagship first-person shooter franchise can achieve. There wasn't much more detail than that, but it did speculate that it could mean that there might be multiple mini Battle Royales simultaneously in a squad-based affair. And there's also a third playstyle within Hazard Zone, but that's being kept under wraps for now. So again, Hazard Zone is not a battle royale, but perhaps some kind of evolution of it. In the past, based on what they've said, it sounded like it's much more akin to something like Hunt Showdown or Escape from Tarkov. So it'd be cool to see some more of that and get some clarification when the time is right. Next up is a tweet from someone called Jim Hedgel. This is a guy that's based in Austin, and it says in their title on Twitter that they're a video game maker at EA, a supporter of content creators and the bright future of content creation. And they sent out a tweet saying, when working in the BF 2042 test ranges, I love using the tuk-tuk to move between areas, best vehicle. So it would appear that there is some kind of test range in the game, although we've not heard or seen anything more official than that directly from DICE or EA themselves. But I for one would love a test range environment in the game where you could play with all the tools and mess with stuff. I think that'd be a really neat feature. And then finally for today, you know how big game franchises often have partnerships with tech companies and hardware manufacturers, that kind of thing. EA yesterday announced some partnerships, and I think one of them is quite important. NVIDIA, and the statement said that EA and DICE's partnership with NVIDIA ensures the ultimate PC experience powered by next-gen GeForce RTX gaming technologies, the AI-powered performance boost of NVIDIA DLSS, and NVIDIA Reflex's low latency mode. For me personally, I always use NVIDIA cards. I love DLSS. I think if you're playing at 4K especially, you can have that higher visual quality and a higher frame rate. And of course, Reflex attempts to give you the best latency possible while you're gaming. I use it on games like Apex, Valorant. They even have it in Warzone now as well. So we're going to see that in the PC version of 2042. No mention of ray tracing though. BF5 had that. The new consoles can do it too. And I think in the screenshots that DICE released for BF 2042, it looks like ray tracing is turned on, so it could be an option for this game. In terms of console, well, they announced that Xbox is the official console partner for 2042. EA and Xbox have partnered to make the Xbox Series X and S the official consoles of the game. No more detail than that. I don't know what that means exactly, but I would assume that it's just an advertising or marketing thing. So whenever there's a reveal or a trailer, it will probably always have the Xbox logo on. But didn't seem like there's any exclusives for Xbox here. You know how sometimes people do that, like Sony have exclusives for Call of Duty at times, but nothing like that was mentioned. So I assume that there's going to be parity across the board from Xbox and PlayStation, and it will just be a marketing thing. But it does lead me to believe that 2042 will be on Game Pass, and that's going to be massive for the game and of course for Xbox too. They announced Logitech as their peripherals partner. EA and Logitech will work together to ensure that players have Logitech integration for their gear, including light sync technology for peripherals and in-game audio presets with optimized EQ for Logitech headsets. So all that is certain Logitech keyboards and mouse can sync with games if they've got support for them, and you can have fancy color effects based on what's going on in the game. I'm sure they'll release some cool headsets, keyboards and mouse mats for that. And then they announced Polaris, who are actually manufacturers of off-road vehicles, which is a bit weird. EA and Polaris have partnered to bring players the opportunity to operate authentic Polaris vehicles in the game, starting with the Polaris Sportsman ATV. And we did see this ATV in the reveal trailer and the gameplay trailer. It was the one on top of the roof. They put the C4 on it or drive it into the helicopter, so licensed vehicles for that. And then finally, WD Black. This is Western Digital, and they're officially partnering with them for BF 2042 as a storage partner. WD Black are a brand committed to ensuring gamers have the best possible gaming experience for its vast new world of immersive and realistic maps and dynamic gameplay. All this means is there'll probably be a Western Digital external drive with a Battlefield 2042 skin on it. So some people are like that. Most people, I think, just wouldn't care, but there it is. And that's all. I know there's only a few snippets there, but I did think this was worth a video. Some cool stuff. July 22nd, not long to wait now, only a few weeks, and we're going to learn much more about the game at EA Play. So stay tuned in for that, coming soon. With that said, that's all, guys. Thank you for watching. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Appreciate your support on everything, and if you enjoyed the video, leave a like. Subscribe for more, and I'll see you in the next one.